Hi there. In this screencast, we'll look at creating a baseline from what we presently have in our planning screen. And then we'll look at moving tasks around in reference to a workflow. When we enter the actual work, we can then see where we are in reference to what we planned. So presently I'm looking at my Gantt chart. My project starts in the first week of July, so I'm just displaying a little bit before it so I can see the first task there. We just have one work resource working on each task, just to keep things simple at this stage. So if I want to create a baseline of this, first of all, I want to move all of my validated dates to plan dates. So if you use this little button here, validate planning, will take all of your validated dates to your plan date. I'll click on remove floor, my third task. So it's only been recorded. This is part of the workflow that we'll look at in a moment. It's a task for my project bathroom renovation. It's been recorded. I presently don't have a resource assigned to this, so I'm just going to quickly assign a resource. This is remove floor, so we can have our general contractor, general labor, do that. So in order to create the baseline, we use this little button here, save a baseline of planning. So we'll create a baseline. I've already created one. I'll create another one so we can see what that is. And then we'll display that baseline and we'll see where it shows up first of all. It says that it will be replaced, so there is only one baseline. I'll call it bathroom renovation. That date is fine. If I only want to see the baseline myself, I don't want to share it with anybody else, so I'll make it private. Oh, we need a baseline name. I'll call it baseline 2. Whatever you like. And OK. So now to display the baseline, I'm going to have to make my screen a little bigger so I can show you that. So I'm just going to drag this over. Make sure I drag it back so we can see everything. There we go. So I want my baseline to be shown on top. So now you see that it's a very subtle change, but we see that there's a faded little line up here. That's my baseline. Now the baseline is on top of my planned. Since I'm still in the planning stage, the baseline will be it'll exactly match those tasks. So I'm just going to shrink my window again so you can see the entire thing. So now, again, I've assigned that task to a work resource. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the workflow for this task. Presently it's recorded. So I'm going to choose that. And this was supposed to happen on July 10th, and it was supposed to be completed on July 10th. So let's just change that so it was actually completed on the 15th. The remove of the flooring, we encountered some problems. Maybe there's some termites or some dry rot. We had to remove more of the floor than we expected. It took a little longer. So let's scroll down. And I'm going to go ahead and choose. Notice all of the parts of the workflow we can choose here. This isn't the entire workflow. This is just the items that are pertinent. So I'm going to choose in progress. And when we choose in progress, even though we have someone assigned to this activity or task, we still have to choose somebody who's responsible in order to be able to save this task. So again, Joe Schmo is the guy. Now I'm going to say that this was handled, we handed off to Joe Schmo on the 10th, which is when we planned to have him work on that item. So that means that we let him know that he is responsible for that item on July 10th. Now let's say we had, again, he didn't finish it on the 10th. Instead, he finished it on the 15th. I'm looking at my Gantt chart to find that number, that date. I'm going to move that to done. Get a check mark. And it says that we need to enter some text in the result. So I'm going to say Joe Schmo completed the floor. There were termites, dry rot. The task took an additional 2 days. So it's required that we enter a result in that field, in the result field, in order to save the task. And I'll save that. Goes away. Notice the task is still only 1 day, but now we have a warning for that activity. So I'm just going to say mark as read. We get rid of our alert and we can go back and take a look at that. So it's done on the 15th. So he was assigned 1 day. It actually took 3. So I'm going to enter 3 here. And left is 0. He's completed the task. The duration, 3. And 3 requested. And 3 days validated for cost and works. So again, it took 3 days. And now we're going to go ahead and save this. And notice that the task is now 3 days. It's still, we still have the baseline along with that task. So what I'm going to do is save this now and choose OK. Now notice that all of the linked tasks have been pushed down because we changed all of the dates and the duration for that task. And notice we have this pale blue baseline. So it shows us that we're delayed somewhat from our planning. So that's what the baseline is for. So basically, you can enter the real work in your actual task once you've set up your baseline, and then you'll be able to see where you are in relation to your planning. I'm going to choose this button. It's going to move the status to closed. We can choose closed here, or we can move the status to closed. It should be removed from your Gantt chart once it's closed. So you know it's no longer here. And if I click on this task here, since it's linked to that closed item, and I scroll down here, the closed item was remove floor, right? There's its predecessor. Notice it's closed. If I click on it, there we go. It opens the remove floor activity. We can also go back to our activities and see it on the list here. So if you need to restart that activity, maybe there's some stuff that we actually forgot to do before we could add the new plumbing. We can go back to that activity. Here it is here. Notice it's all grayed out because it's done. So this is one of the things we can change with the workflow and get it back on the Gantt chart. We can choose reopened. So we realized we need to do some more work. We reopened that item. And I'll save that. All of our fields become available, and notice that we do have more workflow options available once you reopen it. If you advance your workflow and then some of the workflow items are no longer available, sometimes it helps to close the item and then reopen the item. And notice we now have assigned some of the options we didn't have before. So I could go ahead and assign that now. So in a nutshell, what we focused on in this screencast was creating a baseline, and then we manipulated, changed the dates that the actual task was completed, the actual duration of the task, and then we could see where the task lies in relation to the workflow. For those of you who are taking my course, I won't have you do this on your own projects to turn in, so you don't worry too much about getting this right, but do take a chance to play around with each of your tasks. Change the dates, all of the dates, the durations. Take a look at how that affects the following tasks, as well as how it affects where the tasks lay in relation to the baseline. Thanks so much for watching.